Russia's out there posting those photos of Melania's nudes that she got an Einstein visa for. You see, Donald Trump went to a club in Manhattan called the Kit Kat Club. Melania, Donald Trump's dark past, it's resurfacing in ways it's his worst nightmare, where there were parties that were frequently thrown for very rich Manhattan elites, businessmen. How did Donald Trump meet Melania on or around the same time he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein?
Russian TV just dug through Melania Trump's past and tossed it on screen like last night's leftovers. And right as Trump is making noise about 2024, they air her old modeling shots, the kind he probably never wanted in HD.
But on Russian TV, they frequently show Melania nude. Russia, it's weaponizing Melania's past. I don't know if you know this, in order to mock Donald Trump. So they show all these photos of Melania.
But here's the twist, this isn't tabloid gossip. It ties straight to an immigration path usually reserved for brain surgeons and Nobel winners. So how did a model from Slovenia get an Einstein visa? And why would Russia spotlight it now? The answers will make you rethink Trump's own immigration talk.
A policy that Donald Trump is blocking, and that Donald Trump would send people like that. I guess if their skin color was brown or black, she was treated like a genius. An exceptional achievement visa that gave her a fast track to become a United States citizen. Melania's previously made posts about how proud she is of her nudes, but she then used her citizenship to bring in her family members. After Donald Trump and Melania met, she got what was called an Einstein visa.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What do brain surgeons, Nobel Prize winners, and Melania Trump have in common?
Who would attend these parties where the rich men would show up and mingle with the models. And Melania was a model from Eastern Europe who was brought to the United States.
Apparently, they can all land the same super elite immigration pass, the so-called Einstein visa. Sounds like a setup for a bad joke, right? The official name is the EB-1 visa, a track held up as the gold standard of US immigration. It's supposed to be for people who are at the very top of their field, beyond ordinary talent, backed by hard evidence. We're talking about letters from recognized authorities, proof of awards that carry real weight, documented fame that stretches far beyond your own country. In short, it's meant for people whose name rings a bell in every corner of the world. Now, here's where the story gets awkward. Back in 1996, Melania wasn't exactly a household name. She was a 26-year-old model from Slovenia with a few magazine shoots under her belt. Talented, sure. But internationally celebrated figure at the top of her profession? Even her biggest fans might squint at that claim.
And then she obtained her green card around 2001 based on her extraordinary ability as a model, secured by Paolo Zampoli. How Melania arrived in the United States from Slovenia in 1996 for modeling work.
America's immigration rules say you need to meet at least 3 out of 10 very high standards, things like winning a major award, getting profiled in top-tier publications, or landing a prominent role in a famous organization. Not exactly the kind of stuff most models get without a big push from somewhere.
When Donald met Melania, Paolo was there, and the article goes on to say how Paolo secured Miss Trump's visa to the United States. They were linked by someone named Paolo Zampoli, who's become an ambassador under Donald Trump, a high-ranking government official, and introduced her to her future husband at a 1998 party he hosted at the Kit Kat Club.
Enter Paolo Zampoli. In the world of New York modeling in the 90s, Zampoli wasn't just any agent. This was a guy with a Rolodex full of wealthy contacts, high society dinner guests, and the occasional billionaire who'd show up at his parties just to be seen. Zampoli scouted Melania in Europe and brought her into that world, and with him as her guide, she wasn't just another face trying to get noticed, she had an invite into the inner circle.
A friend of the New York tycoon Donald Trump. Several of his top models have a foot in both camps.
The new issue of Living with Mr. Trump on the cover.
Merging modeling and high-end property is the idea of Italian entrepreneur Paolo Zampoli.
So Donald Trump meets Melania at the Kit Kat Club, and then they develop a relationship with each other. Mr. Zampoli's parties have featured an alligator, tiger cubs, and models.
And that inner circle wasn't just about fashion. Picture the Manhattan nightlife scene of the time: velvet ropes, champagne on repeat, people networking in barely lit clubs that doubled as informal casting calls for both modeling gigs and personal arrangements. One hot spot was the Kit Kat Club, a place where fresh faces and old money mixed without any awkward pauses. You'd have runway models one table over from real estate moguls, music producers, political donors, and the occasional scandal magnate drinking in the same room. It's in this ecosystem that Melania's path crossed with Donald Trump. The same Trump who, back then, was a tabloid regular. The man couldn't sneeze without Page 6 writing about it. But he wasn't the only big name in those overlapping circles. Somewhere in the wider orbit, you'd spot people like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Trump's Brit of all right. Just weeks after ditching his second wife, America's best-known billionaire Donald Trump has fallen under the spell of a 20-year-old English girl. In 1997, he's out there partying with Epstein and Ghislaine. Several American millionaires already had their eyes on Anushka, but she was there with Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine.
Not always in the same VIP booths, but floating in the same rarefied air. And in those worlds, contacts mattered as much as, if not more than, raw talent. The right person could make an introduction, write a glowing letter, or frame your resume in a way that made you look like an unstoppable star. When you consider the EB1 requirements, you start to see how the game might have been played. A well-timed magazine spread can count as coverage in leading publications. A boost from a well-connected sponsor can be packaged as significant recognition from industry experts. Was it all above board? Sure, on paper. But in reality, it helps when the people writing your recommendation letters also own the building where the immigration lawyer has an office. This is where things get blurry. Did Melania clear the EB1 bar purely on the strength of her modeling portfolio? Or did her fast pass through New York's highest social tiers tip the scales? In most people's experience, immigration is a slow grind, endless forms, interviews, background checks. But when you're in the right booth at the right club with the right people, it starts looking less like a grind and more like a VIP experience with no wait time. And that's the part that gets under people's skin. If the rules say extraordinary ability, should extraordinary connections count? For most immigrants, missing paperwork means months or years of delay. For a lucky few, a handshake in a nightclub.